Now we are going to learn about Python functions. First, we need to learn what is function. Function is a set of statements or code block which can be reused in your script in multiple places. So you don't need to keep on repeating the same code block in your script again and again. For that reason, function logic came. So let's see the same sample which we have already seen in the previous sessions, finding even or not. Just simply write the logic. Quickly I am writing the logic here. 0 print even, else print odd. Okay, very simple logic. Now set of numbers for which I need to use this same logic to check. Okay, now I have range. Range is like, I'll tell you, number range equal to range of 10, which means instead of specifying like this 1, 2, 3, 4, we can straight away specify a range with an optional starting number or ending number. So let's try to see what this has first, then we will explore that. It says A is not exist. So for now, let's comment this. I'll show you where to use that. Now for number in number range. So I am looping over this range and I am printing the number. Just for your understanding what this range will return. I'm running Python file in terminal. You can see, don't worry about this y, this is part of this script extension. 0, 1, 2, 3, 9. Okay, from 0 it starts and 10 elements it will return. So this is how range works. If you specify your optional starting number, it will return like this. So from 1 it will start and 2, 3, 4, and before the last number it will print 1 to 9. If you want 10 as well, you need to specify 11. Okay, done. Now we have a list of numbers for us. For these numbers, I need to execute these lines. So what I'm going to do, I have just pasted. This is how it was. I have uncommented. Since it's a for loop, I need to do line indentation. So this entire code block has to be executed for one loop iteration. So I'm just selecting all these lines and press 1 tab. So it inserted 4 spaces for this line, and since this line needs to be executed if this condition matches, and here we have colon as well, so the below lines should be indented. So for that purpose, this line has 8 spaces. So likewise here. Now we don't have A, we have number. We take one number from this range and we are checking and printing. So instead of simply printing even or odd, we are going to print the number as well. So here I am saying number is even, is odd. Very simple program. Let's run this. So we saw what is f string and why I'm specifying this variable here. You should already know. Let's run this. It says 1 is odd, 2 is even, 3 is odd, 4 is even. Okay, fine. So this is how we can run multiple statements for block. Now we are going to discuss about function. So since this is just 4 lines, this doesn't look complicated. Let's say you have 100 lines for one for loop iteration. So it will be little bit clumsy or confusing. To avoid that, we will be declaring one function with this statement. So we can simply call that function whenever we require in our script. To declare function, Python has its own syntax. To declare a function, you need to use def, which is definition. Now, we need to give function a name. Find even or odd. As I have already told you, since I am following this underscore to separate my words, this is a snake case. Okay, now close this bracket and put one colon. That's it. Now we need to define what this function needs to do. It needs to do this. Okay. Now here I have number, but this function doesn't know what is this number. To fix this, we need to pass one argument, number. So this function, okay, now we have a function find even or odd. Sorry, there is a mistake. Odd. Okay, and inside our function we have used number. Now this number will not be available inside the function. We need to have that as an argument. Argument is nothing but input to this function. So when we call this function, we need to pass this input as well. And I call this, I'm going to pass my number of argument, or that number I am passing n. So let me rename this as n. Okay, now this n will be passed for number argument. This number argument will be accepted here and the operations will be done on that variable. So let's run this. You can see the proper output is here. In this case, we need only one parameter or argument, but function can accept multiple arguments and a positional argument and keyword based arguments as well, variable number of arguments as well. So that all these options we'll explore now with one additional example. So now let me remove this and I'm going to define one simple function. Like I'm naming this function as a sample function here. Okay, now it's not accepting any argument here, just this is sample function I am printing, and here I am going to call this function without any argument. You run this, you can see this is sample function. There is a mistake, spelling mistake. Okay, function. Now let's see with two arguments here. I'm specifying a comma b, and if you're going to pass an argument like a positional one, the first argument which you pass here will be passed to a, the second argument which you pass here will be passed to b. Let's try to 10, 20. I'm trying to print a comma b here. Now I'm removing this. I'm running this. Okay, 10, 20. If you pass 20 here, 20 will be passed to a, 10 will be passed to b. That's why it's called positional argument. Okay, now if you want to pass this with a keyword based, you can name the parameter, then pass the value. Even if you pass like a keyword argument, you don't need to worry about the position. Now you can see 10, 20. Correct. Now there are another two types. The cases like variable number of arguments. Let's say you don't know how many number of arguments will be passed to this function as a positional argument. To handle that, we have star.args in Python. So let's try to print args. Args is a variable parameter name here, so I am printing this. So since star args accepts only positional arguments, I am passing only that. Then let's see how args receives these values inside this function. You saw this receives as a tuple. If you pass one more argument here, it accepts, but it receives the arguments as tuple. You need to access that by an index. Okay, if you want to receive keyword based arguments as well, means then you can specify $kw args, keyword args. You can print that as well and check if you want to pass the keyword argument as well. name equal to Arokia, and place equal to Karekudi. Okay, now let's see how this receives the value. You can see first one, print args. This accepts these three values as a tuple. Then the keyword args, it takes care of all the keyword based arguments from this function call. So it accepts name, place as a dictionary. So that's how we can specify variable number of arguments and variable number of positional arguments and keyword based arguments as well. Let's say I have one more function here, test function. Here I have a comma b, but print a comma b. I'm commenting this and calling test function 10 comma 20. Okay, now this will run fine without any issues, but in case we don't have this value but we need to call this function, what can be the options? If you call this, it will say you're not passing the positional argument for b. Okay, but this function can say b is an optional value. The default value for b is 0. If there is any default value for any parameter, that parameter is completely optional. If we specify that, if we specify the value for that parameter, it will take that new value. Otherwise, it takes this default value. Let's test this by one more function call. Here I am passing 5. So let's run this. You can see first call, b value received as 0 because we haven't passed any value for b. A second function call, you can see number 5 has been passed to variable b and it got printed here. So in this session we have seen how to create function and how to create argument for that function, how to create variable number of arguments, positional arguments, variable number of keyword based arguments, and how to make an argument as an optional one in this session. So let's proceed with another topics. In this session, we are going to learn about file operations. To do file operations, we need two major input. One is file path and the other one is file mode. We need to know which file to be opened, and using which mode to open, we need to inform Python. So let's see. Here I am going to store one variable, file handle, and open, and I'm going to specify file name here, test.txt, and this is a place. The second argument, we need to pass the file mode. Here these are the basic file modes, or if you specify, that's read mode, and this requires the file to be exist. If the file does not exist, it will throw an error. The character W is specifies write mode. In this mode, file will be created if it doesn't exist already, and if it exists already, it will be overwritten. A, this append mode, this will create the file if it doesn't exist, but it won't overwrite as the mode W. This will append the content at the end of the file. So let's see a sample. First, let's try to read this file. Let's see the available methods from this variable. Read will just read the content. By default, Python opens the file in text mode. There are two modes of file opening, text mode and binary mode. Text mode and binary mode. By default, Python opens open the file in text mode. If you want to open the binary mode, we need to mention B here with all these modes, RB, WB, AB, like that. Okay, now let's see plain text mode, and we need to make sure whether there is a file in temp directory or not. There is a file. Let's delete these two files. Delete. Okay. Now let's run the script. You can see no such file or directory exist. Okay. In this case, let's go to we can create one simple file here in this directory, new file test.txt, and let's write this is sample text. Okay, I have closed the file and let's run the same script again. You can see this is sample text. Now it read the file content and printed for us. And if you open the file like this, you should not forget to close the file at the end. Okay, Python has another easy option for this. I'll let you know about that at the end. Okay, this is read mode, and if you follow write mode and if you try to read, let's see what error that throws. And that script, you can see not readable because we have opened the file with write mode and we are attempting to read. Okay, let me comment. If you specify W in the file mode, when you run the script itself, it will overwrite the file. You can see whatever we have entered already has gone. So let's write that again. This is a sample text. Okay, save. Now I'm going to write saying that this is new text to overwrite. Now run this file and see it. The script ran successfully, and now let's see this. See, the existing line has gone. Instead of that, this new line is here. So W will always overwrite the file. If it doesn't exist, it will create, otherwise it will overwrite the file. So that you need to keep in mind. We have another mode, append. Let's see here, new text to append. In this case, this file name is same, but I have changed the mode. So let's run this. You can see completed, but this got appended at the end of the file. Okay, so when you write the string to a file, if you want the text to go in a new line, you can mention /n, which is a line separator. If you mention like this or before this, automatically this line will go to new line when writing. Let's run this. You see, it has gone to new line. So this slash line, you need to understand like this is a line separator or carriage generator. Okay, now we saw read, write and append. Now we have one more mode, read write. Let's say A plus. Plus specifies it includes read write. Both modes will be included, but the behavior won't change. W means it will be overwriting, but it will be available for read and write. A means it will be append mode, but read and write will be enabled. Now I am trying to write, and after that I am trying to read at the same time. Now let's run. Yes, but we are not seeing anything printed here while reading. Why? Because it has written the new line. After writing the new line, the file pointer will be here. Pointer is like our literal cursor. So if you want to read this entire content, you need to move your cursor back to the starting place. To do that, file handle has one option, seek. fhandle.seek 0. If you specify 0, it will seek an offset 0, which means like the beginning of the file. Then if you attempt to read, the entire content will be read. Let's run. Now you can see all the content got printed by reading the content here. So this is how you open the file for both read and write. Now let's say I need one more handle, F2, and the same file I am trying to open, but with binary mode. Let me use this binary mode. Okay, when you open the file in binary mode, whatever the content you write or read should be encoded or decoded into bytes. The direct string is not allowed. Let's try to write string first, then let's see what's an error, then we'll correct it. So I'm going to write, say this is sample binary mode text. Now let's run this. I'm going to comment this out. Let me run this. You can see this error. A bytes-like object is required, not string. This means you cannot specify the string to write. You need to convert this into byte by encoding that string. Okay. Now let's try to run. It went successful, and you can see this is sample binary mode text. The same way, when you read from this binary mode, I am removing read and write, and I am specifying only read binary mode. Now when you read f2.read, this will be byte subject. If you want to print, just try to print directly. You can see B before the output. You see B before this output is in bytes mode. Okay, this is a byte text. That's why if you want to solve this, you need to decode the bytes, then you will get the normal string. You can see the normal string interpreted properly with /n. So this is how you read and write the file in binary mode. Okay, now here there is a chance like to forget to close the file handle. To overcome this, Python has a context manager. To use the context manager, you use keyword with and specify open and create a name for that object. F2. Okay, now you indent this and you can remove this close statement. So when condition or when execution comes out from this indentation, automatically this file will be closed using context manager. Now you can see same output, but Python has taken care of closing this file for us. This is all about to know about file operations, read, write, binary mode, and read and write, and all these context manager stuff and all. So let's proceed with another topic.